Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Steve Lynch here. I am going to wait about a minute or two to let people hop on. So I'm just going to give a little bit of time. I have a topic that I want to get into today. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to, again, just give it about a minute, let people hop on. I have a topic today that I want to get into. We're going to go right into it. So we're going to just bear with me for about a minute. We'll let people join, and then we're going to get right into this topic. I hope you're having a great day. This is not a light topic by any stretch. It's definitely something that has been weighing on me, and I want to be able to get you, the constituents of Northampton County, and obviously just Americans in general, thinking about these things. And I have some notes here that I'm definitely going to be going through. I want to make sure that I give you the information that I have come across, so then that way you can also do the research yourself. It's always, I'm a believer that we should be researching on our own. And okay, we got some people popping on, fantastic. So I'm actually going to get right into this. So yeah, as we know, I'm running for Northampton County Executive. For those of you that don't know, I'm running for Northampton County Executive, and I'm running against the current incumbent, who is a Democrat. And my opponent continuously lies and misleads people, and lies. He's a liar. Lies and misleads people about my positions. And this one, the one I'm specifically going to be talking about today, has to do with these shots that are being mandated now. And he's constantly misrepresenting my stance when it comes to these shots. So I want to share something that took place just the other day, before I get into what you had seen with the Tuskegee Experiment, and give you a little bit of a breakdown about what transpired there and his comments about that event and about me promoting that event, and then we're going to get into this. So the other day, I was actually contacted this previous week from healthcare workers. I've shared this before. My wife is also a nurse, volunteered in the COVID units this entire time during this pandemic that was, as we now know, is a bioweapon released from the Wuhan lab, which people like myself and others had said that it was from the beginning. And I state that because I think it's important when you are on the side of truth and facts, and we have lies being told and misinformation that's going on out there. I like to let people know that this was a position that I've had from moment one. So I was contacted and put into a group with a lot of these healthcare workers. And through my work and through other individuals working, we had about 500 people, healthcare professionals, nurses, doctors, their family, friends, and just people in general. And what was the purpose of this protest? The purpose of this protest had nothing to do with talking about even all the issues with the vaccine. The purpose of the protest was plain and simple. It was to uphold the rights of healthcare workers to choose whether they want this experimental jab or not. That was it. Well, I had shared much information through my Facebook and other social media talking about this, trying to get people out there for this event. And I was able to help coordinate and get about 450 to 500 people out there. It was a phenomenal success, and it's building. We are building more and more protests, and this is going to be happening. And these people are not going to be going away. So we did that. Now, I shared this post. Now, here was the interesting thing. My opponent took the post that I shared, and I'm going to read exactly what he said. I took the note down here. He took that. And by the way, the post that he took, it wasn't even what I wrote. It was shared from another individual talking specifically about this healthcare protest in front of Lehigh Valley Hospital. But here's what he said. So the post itself had to do with, here's what we're doing, here's where we're meeting, this is why we're doing this. I mean, even I was encouraging people, this is not going to be a political rally. I didn't bring my Steve Lynch for Northampton County flags, nothing like that. This had to do, it was a sole purpose of the rights of healthcare workers to have the right to choose. I told people I don't want Trump flags, nothing, no political stuff, American flags and signs for the protest. That was the purpose of this. So my opponent then took that post that I shared, one of them that I shared. Here was his comment. This was his comment on his Facebook page. Dear friends, why does it seem like the ultimate expression of freedom for this guy, me, is the risking of other people's lives? So, my opponent, our current county executive, believes that standing up for the rights, which he doesn't do, standing up for the rights of people to choose a medical intervention, our healthcare workers, which, by the way, are involved in the medicine that treats people, that's risking people's lives? No. You, Mr. Executive, you risk people's lives when you take away their freedom to choose. Those are the facts. Do you know people's health history? Do you know kind of autoimmune issues and things that people may have where they actually can't take these shots? No, you don't. You just mandate, and you're going to mandate these shots. You're already doing this. And I've seen the emails coming from the organization that he's overseeing. I've seen the emails coming. They're concerned about getting Medicare, Medicaid, and all this other stuff because if we don't mandate this, the federal government, well, why don't you grow some courage and sue the federal government for this? But you won't do that because you toe the line. That's what you do. You toe your Democrat Party line. You're going to bring lockdowns coming in September, October. That's going to be coming. This guy will not stand for rights. And any healthcare worker that is listening to me now, I'm going to read this again for you. This is your current county executive in Northampton County in rebuttal to me standing up for your rights to choose whether you want to have an experimental, it's not even a vaccine. It's not a vaccine. An experimental gene therapy. You shouldn't have the right to choose, according to our current county executive. He says, and I quote, this is his exact words, "Dear friends, why does it seem like the ultimate expression of freedom for this guy is the risking of other people's lives?" Now think about that. If you work in healthcare, you work in Graysdale and Northampton County, any specific healthcare, if you vote for him, this is what you're voting for. This is what you're voting for. Now, I believe every single, so he mislabels everything that I'm talking about when it comes to these shots and shots in general. When it comes to this and medical intervention, I have been very adamant. I have been very clear about this. I'm pro-choice. I believe a person, but I'm also pro-informed consent, which we do not have. And I gave this example before, and I will give it again. So, Steve, what's informed consent? What's truly informed consent? Well, I will tell you. I've used this story before. My daughter, when she was 3 years old, we had found out that she was going to need open heart surgery. When we went down to the doctors, we had done the procedure at CHOP. She had a quarter-sized hole between the two ventricles in her heart at the age of 3. It was a massive hole. 4 times the amount of blood was dumping into her lungs and was pumping throughout her body the way it should have been. The doctors, they came in. We sat down. They told us everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, that she may die, that she could experience what's called heart block when they go to do the surgery, and the heart may not turn back on, that she would need a pacemaker. They went through everything. And then myself and my wife, her mother, had the choice to choose that we wanted to have that surgery because we weighed out if she didn't do this surgery, she probably wouldn't live past her 30s because it would have turned into pulmonary hypertension, would have destroyed her lungs, and she would have been on medication for the rest of her life until she would have probably died a young death. We made the choice. We were given the choice. We could have chose not to do the surgery because of hearing that, but we had the choice. That's informed consent. Now, I ask you, how are we having informed consent when the manufacturers of these jabs are sending out pamphlets that have nothing printed on both sides? How are you having informed consent when you could be sitting down with the person that's giving you the jab? Are they going through all the ingredients with you? Are they telling you that on one of the reporting sites, which only reports 1% to upwards of 10%, according to Harvard, of actual case studies where there's already over 12,000 deaths? Have they told you that when we had the swine flu vaccine, there was about 35 deaths? They pulled that off the market. Well, there's over 12,000 from this in 6 months, which, by the way, has killed more people than every other vaccine combined over the past 20 years. That's informed consent. Why don't they do that? Because they want you to get shot up, and they don't want you to ask questions. So how is it that this is some kind of partisan issue when I'm sitting here pushing for people's rights and pushing for people's ability to be truly informed, having truly informed consent. You want to explain to me how that's controversial? Yeah, it's a rhetorical question. It's not. Every single human being has the right to choose. The individual that sits as your current county executive in Northampton, he believes you're putting people's lives at risk when you choose not to have a medical intervention that we know has caused a lot of damage. Oh, we talk about death count. You want to talk about me risking people's lives, Mr. Current County Executive, that will end coming in November? How about the 97 people that died in Gracedale under your watch during the pandemic? How about the fact that we had COVID money coming in from the federal government that you could have paid for PPE for the family members to go see their loved ones before they died? No, you locked it down. No one could go in and see that. I can tell you as your county executive, that would have never happened. You would have never had that happen to your loved ones. I would have absolutely been able to, you would have been able to see your loved ones. He is a coward. He toes the line of his party, and that's all he's going to do. This gets better. So let's talk about what's going on with Black America, and I want to talk about this Tuskegee experiment. Well, Steve, why are you going to focus on this? Well, we had seen recent articles, and it was something that came out of New York. And in New York, they were finding that about 75% of Black Americans are unvaccinated. Now, isn't that interesting? They are the lowest percent population by race that's getting vaccinated. Why? Well, let me read you something. Many Black Americans don't trust the government when it comes to medical intervention. The government, controlled by Democrats, with Democrat presidents, Congress, House of Representatives, they use the Federal Center for Disease Control, CDC, and the National Health Department. They conducted a heinous experiment on Black Americans, specifically Black males, from 1932 to 1972. And what happened? These Black males had syphilis. They gave Black males placebo, a percentage of the Black males, placebo, instead of actual medical intervention that could have saved their lives, and watched them die of syphilis. The government and our health agencies, and this is fact, go look it up. Go look up the Tuskegee Experiment. Go look it up in even Wikipedia. I mean, we know how the internet is always changing and scrubbing things. You can still find this information. 40 years, over a 40-year span. So when you look at Black Americans, especially in the South, this is why they're not getting shots. This is why they're not taking this. This is why they're hesitant. Exactly, Angel. 100% fact. That's a fact. And why did they want to do this? They wanted to see how they would die. They were experiments. They were lab rats, according to the federal government, the Democrat-controlled federal government. How about the fact that the Democrat Party is the party of the KKK? How about the Democrat Party is the party of Lyndon Johnson? And I won't use the word, but he talked about how he'd have the N-word voting for Democrats for the next 200 years. Those are Democrats. All facts, by the way. But somehow, when people are having, especially Black Americans, right, are having hesitancy for this, we're putting people's lives at risk. No. What's putting people's lives at risk is weak cowards, feckless cowards like our current county executive, the current Democrat Party, and anybody that's pushing for this. That's just towing the line. I don't care if you're in the medical field, the health field, it doesn't matter. We have to start examining what's happening with this situation right now. Black folks that had family members infected and who died are still living down south and remember how their loved ones died such a horrible death and were lied to by their government. Facts. Now we understand why the percentage is so low. And maybe, just maybe, white people and every other race would take a note from what happened in the Black community by our government and learn something from that. How about we learn from that? Instead of ridiculing and criticizing people and labeling people like myself, that's all I'm trying to do is preserve people's rights. Pal, the current county executive that's there, and I don't use his name because I don't like to use his name. The current county executive that we have in office, you have no courage. You are a coward. You toe the line for your party. You reinforced mask mandates. You're going to reinforce the lockdowns when they're going to come. And you're pushing to have people take this shot against their will. And you aren't standing up for anybody's rights. Well, I can tell you, as your county executive, I am going to protect your right to choose and not allow anything like the Tuskegee Experiment, which, when you think about what's happening right now in our medical community, and by the way, the current county executive is toeing the line for Fauci and all the other people that are putting out these mandates that are not backed in science. Do you understand that? I mean, for crying out loud, the current shot is experimental. I can't wait to see what the FDA does, because if they approve it, which it looks like they're probably going to because they're going to toe the line of what they want, you should understand at that point, which I already do and so many other people do, how compromised and corrupt the FDA is. Ask yourself this question. If this jab has killed more people than every other vaccine combined for 20 years, and then the FDA takes this off the experimental and puts it for fully approved, how legitimate and how trustworthy is the FDA and every other medical community that's pushing for this? I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to back down. I don't care how big of a behemoth this machine is, because it's a machine. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to protect your rights. I'm here to protect people like my wife, and other healthcare workers. This is why I'm heavily involved in everything that's going on with the healthcare system right now and protecting these people's rights, helping with class action lawsuits. The Tuskegee Experiment. You want to know what's happening in this world? Look it up. This was an atrocity. And if you didn't know about it, ask yourself this. How did you not know about it? Or you mean to tell me that the Tuskegee Experiment, if you weren't taught that in school, how? How were we not taught that in school? We had our black brothers killed, or I should say let die in a horrible death, so that they could be experiments and figure out what's going to happen if people have syphilis. Hey, how about this one, for example? Planned Parenthood. Margaret Sanger, a eugenicist racist, the founder of Planned Parenthood. Do you know why Planned Parenthoods are put in inner cities? Because they want to eradicate black and brown people. Do you know who fights against this and talks about Planned Parenthood? Me and people like myself. I am so sick of this nonsense, of these lies, of these deceivers. I have zero respect for the current county executive. This individual has been nothing but a failure and has no leadership skills whatsoever, is not going to protect your rights at all, is not going to protect your businesses at all, is not going to protect people at all. They're going to hide behind this so-called faux science. This is not science, folks. This is an experiment. This is a gene experiment. This is a depopulation experiment. The Tuskegee Experiment. That's American history. Did you know about the Tuskegee Experiment? Now that you know about the Tuskegee Experiment, how confident are you that the government and so-called leaders, that the one we have as our current county executive, when they're not standing up for, at a minimum, your right to choose, who are they serving? Are they serving we the people? Or are they serving their party? Are they serving the big monster behind the scenes that's pushing this, that has no science to it whatsoever? As your county executive in Northampton County, this is the hill I will die on for you. This is unacceptable. This is a fight that every single human being needs to get involved in. I am so sick of individuals like our current county executive. This individual is a liar. He is a deceiver. He has no desire to serve you, no desire to stand up for your rights. I'm going to change all that. Go read the Tuskegee Experiment in depth. See what they did to these black men down through this Tuskegee University and what they did there, organized by the federal government. And the same organizations, the CDC, that are supposedly out here to save us now. Are you getting the picture yet? Let's learn something from our black brothers and sisters and what they went through. And let's not repeat the same thing. Why are we trusting the same government that did this to our brothers and sisters? Why would you trust them? See, people like myself know these things. This is why we're out there trying to tell you. We're trying to tell you. It's not because we're anti-science. We're the ones following the science. We're the ones following reality. We're the ones following history. You need vaccines to go into New York to go in restaurants. Oh, and let's try that one on for size. So basically, through the moron de Blasio and the sexual predator Cuomo, they were up there in New York literally creating racist segregation yet again, because we know the highest percentage population of people that are unvaccinated are blacks. So they can't go into restaurants. I mean, it's like you can't go to this water fountain. Think about it. The liberal policies in this Democrat Party is so destructive and so racist. Who's the racist? Who's the racist? Lyndon Johnson was a Democrat. KKK was started by the Democrats. The KKK, the Democrat Party didn't want black Americans to have the right to own firearms, to protect themselves. Learn your history. It's disgusting. The Democrat Party is a communist regime. They have been infiltrated by communists. And this current county executive, he won't do anything to protect Americans' right. I mean, we caught him at a speech talking about how the Constitution's inherently flawed. These people are phonies. They do not deserve your vote. They do not deserve your support. You want a public servant? You want somebody that's going to stand up for your rights? You want somebody that's going to make sure that these mandates, all of them, are gone day one. I hit this, and then have the courage to fight for you, to file the right lawsuits, to put the right judges in place where it needs to be put in Northampton County, to eradicate the swamp that is in Northampton County and eliminate every single person that's in this government that is doing no good for we the people. I'm your guy, and the council that we're going to be bringing in are going to be the ones legislating this for you. Do not be deceived by these liars. They're liars. Wow, you come out strong, Steve. This is harsh. Yes, because guess what? There's things called the Tuskegee Experiment. So am I supposed to tiptoe and tap dance around that? Am I supposed to ignore this as I watch this unfold? Because obviously the current county executive does. He has no interest at all. Nor do any of these politicians that aren't fighting for this. If you don't have a public servant that's addressing these specific things that's happening right now, if you don't have public servants that aren't out there with your healthcare workers standing with you in solidarity and saying you have a right to choose, they're not here to serve you. They're here to rule you. They want to rule over you. They lie through their teeth to get into office, and then when they get into office, they think that they can pass these edicts. Everything that happened to us over the past 18 months is 100% unconstitutional and unlawful. And then when you factor in the Nuremberg Code, HIPAA violation, and all the things that all 10 of the Nuremberg codes are being violated by what's happening right now. This is mass genocide that they're focusing on. Well, that's harsh, Steve. How do you claim it? Look. Not through your television, not through Fauci's, the fraud that he is, the criminal that he is, and all these other criminals, because they're criminals. This information's out there, and it should absolutely not only just terrify you that this happened, it should make you enraged that the government and the so-called agencies that are supposed to be protecting our liberties are the ones that are killing us. That's harsh. It's true. You know, we're not in a point anymore in this history where in this moment in history and as we're moving forward, where we can speak lightly. Do you know how you defeat communism? You destroy it. You don't play nicety with it. You destroy it. Well, that's what we have going on here from top to bottom. I love you guys. I care about you guys and girls. I want what's best for Northampton County. I want what's best for the state of Pennsylvania. I want what's best for this country. The progressive communist movement, which owns the Democrat Party. How do you say that? It's being run by the AOCs and all those people. The Soroses of the world. The Democrat Party is not, they should not even be allowed to be called Democrats. The party itself. At a minimum, they should be called the Socialist Party of America. And even if you wanted to be more accurate with them, they should be called the Communist Party of America, because that's what they are. Share this video everywhere. Please share this video everywhere. I love you guys. Tons of events coming up. On Sunday morning, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I will be on WAEB 790, which Pennsylvania, and specifically through Lehigh Valley. You can get it on iHeartRadio. Go to WAEB 790. I will be on there for an hour. It's a call-in show, and we're going to get into some phenomenal stuff. Call in if you want to. I don't know any other way but to fight. I don't know any other way. I have no ability to back off. It's not in my DNA. I don't know how to do it. I will never do it. They're coming after all of us. They're coming after your kids. They're coming after your parents and your grandparents. They're coming after you. They're coming after your businesses. They're coming after your health. They're coming after your jobs. They're coming after your homes. They're coming after your suburbs if you live in the suburbs. They're coming after everything. When are you going to get a stomach full enough where you start to say, you know what? Enough is enough. Have you not seen the writing on the wall yet? This is real. Band with me. Fight this. We overcome it. And these people need to be in prison at a minimum. Have a great day. I look forward to sharing more information with you very soon.